Part 78. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 781. Wu Yu had thought about the devouring heaven body a long time ago. In fact, the most undisplayable thing is the devouring heaven body's ability to devour, not its fighting ability. For example, Duan Yi also has a hell demon shadow clone, which is changeable and powerful, especially when hiding in the dark and suddenly attacking. It can also bring a fatal blow. If Wu Yu hadn't used the Golden Eye Realm to lock its position, the Hell Demon Shadow clone would have attacked long ago. Last time in the battle, he had shown the power of the Devouring Heaven body, but at that time, his control over the Devouring Heaven body was not particularly proficient, and it had not yet exerted a strong effect, but Wu Yu knew in his heart that such a body could become the new Devouring Heaven demon ancestor. Of course, he was referring to the ability part. The Devouring Heaven demon ancestor had caused great suffering to the living beings, and it was obvious that he could not control his desire to devour. Wu Yu did not want to become like this. In fact, it was a good thing that she had the main body to control the Devouring Heaven body, at least in this way he would not lose himself. In this battle, he wanted to escape and delay time at the beginning, but after fighting to such an extent, he found that the gap between him and Duan Yi might not be as big as he imagined, and the Tao in his heart brought strong hints, making it difficult for him to follow the original plan. Now Wu Yu's most desired thing is to defeat Duan Yi. He must be defeated. Now, he still has thousands of clones around him. When his heaven-swallowing body enters this group, it is actually difficult for others to find it, because the heaven-swallowing body, although there is a certain difference from other clones, it is only the difference of white hair and blood eyes. Invisibly, the heaven-swallowing body has appeared near Wu Yu's original body, but no one has paid attention to his clone for the time being. Now people's focus is on Duan Yi's great power, and it seems that he is about to suppress Wu Yu. The momentum of both sides is obviously higher and more fierce. Duan Yi now has a fierce momentum and murderous intent. Perhaps in order to prove himself to Princess Yuyan, he has done his best, and the third magical power is shocking. Sky Explosion Seal. He held the heavenly Dao Life and Death Profound Spear in his hand, and used it as a paintbrush. With the surging purple mansion Yuanli as ink, he quickly drew a dark seal in the void of the Sea of Ghosts. That was the Sky Explosion Seal. This Sky Explosion Seal contained a terrifying explosive force. Now the entire seal was trembling. When it was trembling, the vast sea area around it, the endless sea water, was trembling with it, as if it was trembling with fear because of the advent of this power. On the contrary, it seemed that Wu Yu had no way out now. After resisting the opponent's two magical attacks just now, he had run out of tricks. Even in his eyes, there was a trace of panic, depression, timidity, and fear. Not only Duan Yi saw it, but more than 20 people around him also saw it clearly, and the 800,000 people outside also saw it quite clearly. They could think that Wu Yu really had no way out. Now they are eager for Wu Yu to leave the Sea of Ghosts as soon as possible, so they still think Duan Yi is pretty good, and many elders have begun to praise Duan Yi. At least, he can actually display superb fighting ability in battles compared to ordinary 9th level Yuan Shen realm. Send you to heaven, Duan Yi roared in a low voice, and the heavenly Dao Shenmi Xian spear pushed forward. Suddenly, the sky-blasting seal he created swept towards Wu Yu. When the sky-blasting seal passed by, the sea water could be seen exploding like glass, causing countless fragments. In fact, those who really understand know that it is the Kinkan space that is exploding, like the sky breaking. The range where Wu Yu is located includes him and a large number of clones, which are actually within the range of this sky-blasting seal. This magical power seems simple, but its real power is terrifying. It is more powerful than his previous magical powers. In the blink of an eye, it seemed that Wu Yu was in imminent danger. At this time, even Nanshan Wanjiu didn't know what he would do. Perhaps the only ones who still believed in him were Minglong and Princess Yuqian. This moment can be said to be a critical moment. Life and death are in a moment. Duanyi completely injected the power of the upper spiritual weapon into this magical power. The addition of several powers led to the devastating effect now. When the sky was broken, people couldn't help but smile. This troublesome matter is finally solved, Prince Yuqian thought to himself. He was the first among the princes and princesses to meet Wu Yu, except Princess Yuqian, so he knew the most about Wu Yu's terribleness, because his progress during this period was too fast, and it felt a little unstoppable. What he said to Duanyi was that he must seize the opportunity to kill Wu Yu. Now it seems that the possibility of success is very high. At this moment, seeing that the sky explosion seal was about to engulf Wu Yu and all his other clones, and during this process, his Hell Demon Flame clone was also attacking from the dark. He actually found Wu Yu's real body, bringing a dark and cold murderous intent. 800,000 people outside held their breath and stretched their necks to pay attention. Kill him, it was so aggrieved that many people couldn't help but say it. Huh. Seeing that the sky explosion seal was about to engulf Wu Yu, at this moment, a white-haired and blood-red-eyed Wu Yu appeared in front of all the Wu Yes. He stretched out his arms and blocked the path of the sky explosion seal. This Wu Yu with white hair and bloody eyes has a strange temperament, which is completely different from the original Wu Yu. This clone left a deep impression on everyone, and now it just appeared and instantly attracted everyone's attention. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. But in the next moment, his body instantly dispersed and turned into endless black mist. The black mist formed a huge black vortex, spinning crazily, just in front of the sky explosion seal. This is a strange and huge black vortex, as if it appears out of thin air. And at the next moment, something even more incredible happened, that is, the huge power of Duanyi's sky exploding seal all impacted on the black vortex, and then people saw that the sky exploding seal was swallowed up by the black vortex. When he entered the black vortex, he did not go through and destroy Wu Yu's body. It seemed as if it had disappeared out of thin air. Of course, after the current black vortex swallowed the devastating sky explosion seal, its rotation speed suddenly dropped. In a short period of time, it stopped rotating, and the sky explosion seal, the power of the seal is obviously still in the black vortex. What can be seen is that the space of the black vortex is also collapsing. It seems that the entire black vortex cannot support the huge power and is about to break into pieces. At this moment, the speed of the black vortex had dropped to zero, and it seemed to be about to collapse. At the moment, it actually started to rotate in the opposite direction, and the speed of rotation was getting faster and faster. At the next moment, something quite incredible happened again. The occurrence of this incident directly shocked everyone, and their faces turned pale. People outside stood up from their seats again, watching in shock. Because what they saw was that when the black vortex rotated in the opposite direction to the maximum speed, it completely spit out the sky explosion seal, but this time the direction of the sky explosion seal was changed, and it was also changed by the black vortex. Internally, it is obvious that from Duanyi's panicked face, people can see that now he has lost control of the sky explosion seal. When he wanted the sky explosion seal to be destroyed, the sky explosion seal did not do that. Instead, he attacked Duanyi. What is going on? Prince Yuki stared at the incredible scene in front of him with wide eyes. He also looked at other people because he thought his eyes were wrong, but judging from the eyes of everyone else, that's reality. One of Wu Yu's clones turned into a black vortex, swallowed up and transformed Duanyi's magical power, and now attacks Duanyi in turn. Many people outside haven't figured out what's going on, but after hearing this, they all know that they are not wrong, and the reality is like this. Now, they don't have time to figure out why this is happening, because they are watching Duanyi showing panic, depression, and disbelief on his face. His body is exposed to the attack of the blasting seal of the sky. The explosive seal is definitely not under his control, because he has tried hard many times. Although the power is still there, the master has changed. After experiencing an incredible transformation, the suspense has changed to whether Duanyi will die from the sky explosion seal. And people can clearly see that Wu Yu did not rest after the sky blasting seal. The spiritual Taoist tool in his hand, the countless 10,000 dragon sticks in the world, instantly turned into countless golden sand grains. Those golden sand grains condensed. It turned into a giant golden dragon, and now behind the sky explosion seal, it roared and swallowed up in the direction of Duanyi. The sharp golden sand grains made a harsh friction sound, which sounded very uncomfortable. With such dual power, Duanyi, even if possessed by a war demon from above, would never be able to withstand it. Impossible. People could clearly see that Duanyi's eyes were wide and blood red, and he was yelling through gritted teeth. At the critical moment, his hell demon shadow clone blocked the sky's explosive seal, giving him a chance to escape. Boom! The hell demon shadow clone directly turned into fragments and exploded. At least half of the power of the sky explosion seal was applied to this clone. His demonic shadow clone in hell is different from Wu Yu's clone. Wu Yu's clone can be continuously regenerated, but if his clone is destroyed, it is destroyed. But this is not the end. If Wu Yu has this opportunity, Duanyi will never be able to be arrogant to him again. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 782. The ability of the heaven-devouring body was recently discovered by Wu Yu. This was also the first time he used it. Although the process was actually quite dangerous, it finally fulfilled Wu Yu's imagination. This heaven-devouring body actually has many huge treasures waiting for him to dig. Now Wu Yu gave this ability a name, called Return. This name sounds simple, but the effect is not simple. As long as it is within the range of his heaven-devouring body, many of these types of magical arts can be swallowed by Wu Yu, transformed into his own attacks, and returned to the opponent, and the opponent's ultimate killing method becomes his own ultimate killing method. This kind of method ability can be said to have never appeared in the Yanhuang ancient domain since ancient times. As for what is the limit of the heaven-devouring body? In fact, Duanyi's attack today is almost the limit of the heaven-devouring body. Wu Yu was able to return the sky-blasting seal to Duanyi, which was also a bit of luck. If it was a little longer, the heaven-devouring body would probably break by itself. In that case, although he would not die, he would probably lose some of his abilities, causing the heaven-devouring body to become weaker and need to be swallowed again to become stronger. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. The heaven-devouring body's ability range is actually fluctuating. It becomes weaker when it is injured, and becomes stronger when it is swallowed. Return is now the most terrifying ability of Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body. Under this return, the sky-blasting seal quickly swallowed Duanyi. After swallowing Duanyi's hell demon shadow clone during this period, Duanyi was not able to escape far, but because the power of the sky-blasting seal had been reduced, the lethality to Duanyi was not enough to kill him on the spot. Even so, Duanyi was severely injured on the spot, and the sky was full of blood mist. The most obvious thing was that his magical power of the heavenly war demon was directly lifted. At that time, he was covered in blood, his face was pale, and he struggled even more. But at this time, Wu Yu did not give him a chance at all. His infinite Hankshya Samsara formation turned into golden sand grains, directly engulfing Duanyi and locking him in the golden millstone. There were countless sharp gravels in the millstone, which were rushing towards Duanyi's body and tearing his flesh and blood. Now Duanyi was not only defeated, but also in danger of death. However, Wu Yu could not kill him yet, because the Sea of Ghosts could not kill other participants. The opponent might be able to do so, but if Wu Yu did so, he might be directly expelled from the Sea of Ghosts, which would not be worthwhile. Duanyi was completely trapped in the struggle between life and death. Despair, fear, discomfort, sadness, and even crying filled his face. He was probably at the lowest point in his life. The blow he suffered today was unprecedented. He originally thought that this was the peak of his life, so there was such a huge gap. Such a gap was enough to destroy everything for him, making him discouraged at this time. He didn't want to see anyone and wanted to die. He couldn't imagine how the more than 20 young people outside who were much higher in status than him would look at him. After all, he had already boasted, and he couldn't imagine how the 800,000 people outside would look at him and his father. His performance now completely discredited Lishan Mansion. Perhaps only death could allow him to escape the pain now. Wu Yu didn't let him do this. He just trapped the other party with this infinite Hangsha reincarnation formation. After success, Wu Yu asked the body of the swallowing sky to quickly hide in his clone, preferably in a place where no Yuanying instrument could see, and he only needed to stay away from other people. Now his thousands of clones occupied a lot of space, and other people could not get close, so people outside could not see his heaven-devouring body at this time. Perfect solution to the opponent. At this moment, Wu Yu can be said to be enough to shock the entire Beiming Empire. This is a completely different level. Compared with when he first came to the Beiming Empire, he has more powerful means. At this time, it was because of Wu Yu again that 800,000 people outside were arguing endlessly. Duanyi had been defeated. According to the agreement, it is estimated that the plan of these more than 20 people has failed. Some people are depressed, some are happy. Only the people of the ancient country of Yanhuang can be called happy. Actually, I thought that Wu Yu was really going to die, and I wanted to put some pressure on them to save him. I didn't expect it. Chuyan looked incredible. Beside him, the other people of the ancient country of Yanhuang basically had this expression, except that Chu Fengjia was still a little indifferent. Just now I saw that his method, which should be considered a magical power, was performed by a clone. It seems that Wu Yu has more than one ability in the clone. Not only does he have so many clones, but one of them is very outstanding and even has such incredible abilities. Among his many abilities, the ability of this clone is also quite special. Chuyan was full of praise for Wu Yu at this time. I think it's time to use the power of your Yanhuang tribe to forcibly take Wu Yu back. Chuyan said in a deep voice. When he said this, he had actually sent a communication talisman in the direction of the ancient Yanhuang country, because he knew that it might be difficult to take Wu Yu away by himself. He was doing it in secret. The talent, will, and future that Wu Yu displayed in the Battle of Beiming have completely surpassed many geniuses from the Yanhuang ancient territory. They don't know Wu Yu's specific age of cultivation. If they know that it is only about 10 years, I will definitely grab Wu Yu like crazy. In fact, Prince Yuzhang and Prince Yashao are also discussing this issue. Zhou and the others looked livid and asked the ancestor, how should we deal with this Wu Yu? This guy has shown too many tricks. We can no longer ignore him just because Yu Chong protects him. Should we try to turn him into one of our Beiming people, or should we let him be destroyed here? For them, the methods Wu Yu showed, those magical tunnel arts, made it difficult for them to send Wu Yu to other forces. I'm afraid Anzu has thought about it a lot. After watching for a while, he said, he is indeed a genius who shocked the world. Let's see how to deal with it specifically. At least, because of the relationship with Yuki, he will not do anything to us Beiming. What we considered, yes, it should be a question of whether to rob him of all his potential or to cultivate him. There is also a question of dealing with those from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. They definitely want to take Wu Yu away. There are still more than 20 days left. They can also consider, make a choice first, and then make preparations. After all, this is the territory of the Beiming Empire. They still have an innate advantage. They don't know how to deal with it, but at least they cannot let it happen. After he got the first place, he left with the people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. In fact, the disputes in the Ghost Sea prison are far from over. Now, Wu Yu holds Duan Yi's life in his hands. Facing more than 20 talented men and women at the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm, he can actually block the pressure of more than 20 people by himself. In comparison, it doesn't look weak at all. This is the momentum of a victor. Opposite him, only Princess Yuking smiled, as if all this was not beyond her expectations, and she now had an obsessive confidence in Wu Yu. Duan Yi, I have been defeated. According to the agreement, should you let Princess Yuking go? After all, she is a princess. If she keeps doing this, it will be a joke for so many people outside to watch. His last look it fell on Prince Yu Yang, and the nether hell where Princess Yu Yang was imprisoned was his spiritual weapon. To release or not to release? Maybe they never thought about this situation, and they didn't expect Duan Yi to be defeated. They are very embarrassed now. Of course they don't want Wu Yu to leave like this, but the high cow they boasted about before, and Wu Yu's agreement with them, make them unable to let go of their identity. For a moment, their expressions changed continuously, and they looked at each other. It was obviously difficult to make a decision. In short, they were unwilling to lose. Is it time to let them go? Do you want to tell the world that you are a despicable and shameless person? Looking at them now, Wu Yu knew that they could not afford to lose, and Duan Yi was still in his hands at this time. Woolen cloth. But at this time, no one paid attention to Duan Yi's life and death. Among them, Prince Yu Yang's expression obviously changed the most. You wait first. There were more than 20 of them, but they were not in a hurry to let Princess Yuking go. Instead, they gathered together and discussed among themselves secretly. Among them, Prince Yuki was the most furious. Damn it, this damn Duan Yi was full of confidence before, but now he's like a dead dog. It's really no use trusting him. When I get out, I have to kill him. Don't worry about this Yi for now. None of us expected Wu Yu's last resort. The problem is, now we have to watch him slip away. There are only more than 20 days left. What if we use Yu Qing this time? If you send him away, there will be no chance at all. Gu Hokan said in surprise, could it be that everyone means to violate the agreement with him? Prince Yuji said, so what? Why should we talk to an outsider about morality? The whole Beiming has almost lost its face. Now we just suppress him as much as we can. After Prince Yuji finished speaking, the others there seems to be no opinion. They are eager for one person to come forward, and if they violate this agreement, they may have no choice but to be shameless now. Obviously it seems a bit impossible for them to release Princess Yukin now. Wu Yu knew the result just by looking at their faces. He found that he really overestimated the morality of these people. I'll do it this time. Prince Yuki cast a dangerous look at Wu Yu. He seemed to have already thought of a way to deal with Wu Yu. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 783. Chapter 776, Reverse Scale. Wu Yu could only confront them now. Amid the attention of more than 800,000 people, Prince Yuji ran next to Prince Yu Yang. The two discussed a few words secretly, looking confident. What surprised Wu Yu next was that Prince Yu Yang actually Princess Yuking let go. The dark giant snake netherworld hell slowly let go, allowing Princess Yuking to regain her freedom. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Even Princess Yuking herself did not expect that. After experiencing the initial shock, she immediately stayed away from her brothers and sisters and came to Wu Yu's side instead. After coming to Wu Yu's side, she felt a lot more relieved. After all, she didn't want to implicate Wu Yu. What's going on? Wu Yu asked her in a low voice. He originally thought there would be bigger trouble, but Prince Yu seemed to have given up suddenly. I don't know what kind of medicine he is selling in the gourd. Princess Yuking was still a little shocked. However, she was also a little happy in her heart. After all, Wu Yu rescued her from these people, this time in front of so many people, regardless of difficulties and dangers, risking to give up the first place. Duan Yi, who was so proud just now, is now trapped by Wu Yu's infinite Hangsha reincarnation formation, and he doesn't know whether he is alive or dead. This is definitely a shocking reversal. This reversal brought many touches and surprises to Princess Yuking, and the decision in her heart would only become stronger than before. But Wu Yu knew that it was definitely not such a big deal. Perhaps, the bigger problem is hidden in Prince Yuki's sneer at this moment. Today, they still surround Wu Yu and his countless clones. Several princes and princesses appeared in front of Wu Yu, and they now probably knew which one was Wu Yu's true body. Among them, Prince Yuki said, "We have agreed that if you defeat Duan Yi, we will release Yukiao. However, I would like to remind you that our princess of the Baiming tribe cannot have any relationship with a foreign tribe. If you still have some kind of entanglement, neither of you will end well." Wu Yu said, "You guys are really worried too much. Wu Yu knows what you are referring to, and I can guarantee that your worries are completely unnecessary." Although Princess Yuking was reluctant to say such words, after all, she still had some thoughts in her heart, but she knew better what role she should play now, so she also said, "My brothers and sisters have bullied me like this time. After the Baiming hegemony war is over, you must give me an explanation, at least a solemn apology. As for the issues mentioned by several people, I am not afraid of the shadow, so you don't need to worry about what you are thinking about now. Say it." No one believed that they would admit defeat so obediently. If Prince Yuki had not come up with some solution before, they would definitely not let Princess Yuki go now. "Really?" Prince Yuki stared at Wu Yu with a gloomy face and said word by word, "Wu Yu, you should know that we don't want to deal with you. We just don't want you to enter the top 10. As long as you withdraw, we will not do anything to you. I won't notice you. Now our choice for you is that from today on, you can go out without using the Dark Light Talisman, but you are absolutely prohibited from collecting any dead soul yin net." This sounds like the conditions have been relaxed, but in fact the result is still the same. If Wu Yu gives up his first place, Wu Yu can't do it no matter what. What if I can't do it? When the other party said this, there must be a new threat to Wu Yu. Before, he used Duan Yi and Princess Yuki to threaten Wu Yu, but now that Duan Yi is defeated, he is so happy by letting Princess Yukin go, she must have a bigger idea that could threaten Wu Yu. The existence of this idea made them confident. Now everyone has a supreme smile on their face, as if they are completely eating Wu Yu to death. Prince Yuki came up and said in a very cold tone, "What if you can't do it? What will happen to us? Wu Yu, you still don't know how important honor is to us. If you are in the top 10, it will be an insult to us. Since you insulted us so ruthlessly, why should we be polite to you? Of course, we will retaliate against you in any way we can. Who told you that it might make us lose face?" Prince Yuki continued. "So, think about it, you are from a small demon-sealed continent. We all know how weak the demon-sealed continent is, and we also know that you have many relatives and friends in the demon-sealed continent. There are many people you care about. We are the princes of the Baiming Empire. As long as we send people to the demon-sealed continent, we can clearly find all your relatives and friends, your brothers and sisters, and everyone who is related to you. No matter where they flee to the ends of the earth, we, the Baiming clan, can catch them and make them appear in front of you and suffer our torture. But you can't blame us. After all, it was you who insulted us first and made us lose face. That's why we couldn't bear such humiliation, so we would retaliate against you hysterically. If we say that they really suffered for some unfortunate things, I can only blame you. It was you who killed them, including your loved ones. This is actually not good, don't you think? Prince Yuji said a lot in one breath. During the speech, he kept smiling and was very confident. He had great confidence in himself. It seemed that he admired his own intelligence. Actually, this was a solution he had just thought of. However, he now clearly understood Wu Yu's character, so this solution made him a little excited. We are not forcing you to do anything. If you feel embarrassed to use the Dark Light Talisman, you can stay here, but don't let us know that you have taken another Dead Soul Yin net. If you rank in the top 10 after you go out, never mind, we won't make it difficult for you. If you rank in the top 5, you really can't blame us for being rude. After all, we gave you a chance and you still have a long time to think. After saying that, they all laughed. Actually, it's really a bargain for you. The rewards for the 6th to 10th place are similar. Anyway, from now on, you can't get a Dead Soul Yin net. If you think you may have too many Dead Soul Yin nets, you can throw as many as you want. The Northern Underworld battle has never stipulated that you can't throw away Dead Soul Yin nets. Anyway, our condition is that you can't be in the top 5, Prince Yu Yang said. So you know what to do. In fact, our Beiming Empire and you can have a very good relationship, as long as you don't take the initiative to make us lose face. You are a friend of our sister, how can we take the initiative to make you uncomfortable? As long as you do what we say, everyone will be happy. Next, it depends on your performance, Wu Yu, Princess Yu Yu said in a delicate voice. After saying these words, Princess Yu Yu got angry first. Her eyes were red, and she said coldly, "You are really shameless. The Beiming battle has always been fair and just. This is the tradition of our Beiming Empire. In your hands, it has become that you can't beat others in the official competition, but you have to threaten others through despicable means, and even threaten others' relatives and friends. I didn't expect that such a person has the blood of the Beiming royal family, and is my brother and sister. I feel ashamed to have you as brothers and sisters." She was really crazy, because she knew that this was Wu Yu's reverse scale. Thinking back to the ancient Immortal Road, those people died on the Immortal platform, that is, they threatened Wu Yu in this way. This was the most unbearable threat in Wu Yu's heart. If it wasn't enough to worry him, the words of terror and murderous intent. Maybe until just now, for Wu Yu, everything he participated in was just a small fight, not hurting the root, but now it is completely different. It has risen to the height of war and hatred, and it is a hatred between life and death that cannot be controlled. Prince Yukin still thinks he is smart. Of course, they are carefully observing Wu Yu's reaction. In their attention, Wu Yu's reaction does not seem to be big. He is very silent, scanning everyone here with his eyes, observing them, as if he wants to remember everyone, especially these princes and princesses. They feel that Wu Yu does not seem to be that angry. In fact, they don't know that when Wu Yu stops arguing, that is when he is most disappointed, and disappointment is often accompanied by a firm will. Wu Yu's way is that the more oppression he receives, the more he rebels. The oppression he is facing now is 10 times heavier than before, and it has reached a point where he cannot tolerate it at all. He knows very well what he will do next. Maybe it is a futile attempt or a desperate attempt, but his rebellious will and unyielding spirit have reached a point where he cannot be controlled. "What do you decide, Wu Yu?" Yuan Qingsheng asked. Everyone was looking at him, including the 800,000 people outside who did not know the truth. Wu Yu suddenly grinned and said, "What everyone said makes sense. This time it was me who offended everyone. I am glad to accept your reminders. In more than 20 days, I will definitely not let you down." It sounds like Wu Yu is very obedient to their wishes, as if there is no problem at all. Prince Yu Yang and the others are very satisfied. They know deeply that this method is indeed much better than the previous method of Princess Yu Yang. Wu Yu is very sensible, and they are very satisfied. "Okay, then everyone is happy. In that case, let's release Duanyi first. I have something to do today, 1 chapter. 3 chapters tomorrow. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 784. Everyone is happy. Xuanhuan. Rainan. This word sounds so uncomfortable. It was obvious that they were happy, not Wu Yu. Although Wu Yu defeated Duanyi in this fight, judging from the proud smiles on the faces of the princes and princesses, he actually failed. Now, they want Wu Yu to release Duanyi, who is still suffering in the Wuliang Hangsha reincarnation formation and has no face to see anyone. Should you let it go? Of course Wu Yu let him go. After all, Duanyi is now an irrelevant figure. In fact, he was just a pawn for the 20-odd people in front of him. Now that he had been defeated, the 20-odd people didn't even regard him as a human being. The future he wanted had basically been ruined. From then on, Duanyi, who was not even a netherworld general, could not pose any threat to Wu Yu at all. So Wu Yu put away the infinite constant sand reincarnation array, and the 10,000 dragon stick that became him returned to his hand. At this time, Duanyi was in an extremely embarrassed state. He probably didn't know what happened. Now, looking at everyone with his miserable eyes, one can imagine how huge the blow was, but it was all caused by him. At this time, he should be eager to find a crack in the ground and crawl into it. Before the princes could speak, he simply crushed the dark light talisman and chose to leave the Hell Sea prison first. Not long after, an old man came forward and took him away. The old man actually just nearby and said nothing. In fact, Wu Yu had already obtained a lot of information about the Dead Soul Yin network, and they passed it on to the princes and princesses. Everyone, farewell, it has been agreed upon, and Wu Yu has no need to stay here. Princess Yuqian wanted to leave with him. At this time, most of Wu Yu's clones had been collected, and there were only 300 of them following him. Among them, the sky-swallowing body was among them. After the number of people was reduced, the white-haired and bloody eyes his clone is still very dazzling, and the princes and princesses are now staring at his clone. Wu Yu, let me tell you one last time. We are both very kind people. Don't force me to become a murderous maniac. Your future is entirely in your own hands. Prince Yuki stared at Wu Yu. It seems that he still has a little distrust of Wu Yu, but after thinking about it carefully, Wu Yu has no possibility of resisting him. This is the tragedy of having no background forces. So when Wu Yu left at this time, they did not stop him, but gathered together to talk and laugh with each other, as if the matter had been resolved perfectly. Okay, according to our agreement, let's continue the fair competition from now on and see who can get the first place. Let's go, Prince Yu Yang said with a smile. In fact, he was sure of getting the first place this time. Of course, there are still more than 20 days left, and both the monks and the demons are in an explosive state. It is really hard to say who will win the championship in the end, Beiming Emperor K, and who will belong to it. They inquired about the number of Dead Soul Yin nets that Wu Yu had obtained so far, and they were still confident that they would be able to squeeze Wu Yu out of the top 5 in more than 20 days. Their agreement from the beginning was to get together, deal with Wu Yu first, and then continue to compete fairly after that. Even though they are friendly now, once they separate, they will immediately fall into a state of fighting. So at this time, more than 20 people were basically racing against time, getting out of the way faster than Wu Yu. Then, Princess Yuqing and Wu Yu were left here, as well as the hidden Nanshan Wanjiao. Princess Yuqing didn't know that Nanshan Wanjiao was here. Now, her eyes showed deep sorrow. She stared at Wu Yu with sad eyes and said, "I'm sorry, I didn't expect that they would use such shameless means and such threats. It will definitely make it difficult for you. There is still time. We can figure it out." Wu Yu actually knew what was going on. At this point, there is really nothing that can defeat him. Don't be nervous, he looked at Princess Yukin. Now, his eyes were more determined and cold-blooded. Princess Yuking said, after they said it, you immediately obeyed. In fact, I knew that you would not obey at all. You will still get the first place, right? If this is the case, after we go out, I will try to restrict them as much as possible and let me spread the word. Due to public opinion, they actually don't dare to take action. I'm just afraid that they will be too shameless and send assassins to do it secretly. After all, she is also a princess, and she also has some energy in the Beiming Empire. If word got out that these princes and princesses threatened Wu Yu in this way, it would actually be quite embarrassing. If the elders heard about it, these princes and princesses might not be so embarrassed. This method is shameless. Wu Yu said calmly, if I do as they say, all my previous efforts will be in vain. I can't give up the first place to them, especially to a group of despicable and shameless people. This is not my way. Therefore, he must be able to fight, even if he has to bear great risks, but how can there be no fight without risks? The worst thing is, the fish will die and the net will break. If this is the case, then I will be even more determined to win the first place. In this way, my reputation will be even greater. After winning the first place, I will spread the word about their despicable methods. In this case, these princes and princesses really need to think about it, otherwise, it will appear that their character is too low, and the joke of the Beiming Empire will spread throughout the entire world of Yanfu. Prince Yukin and his friends didn't expect Wu Yu to be so determined and even take such a big risk to resist, so they are in a good mood now. They thought they had suppressed Wu Yu. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. Therefore, not only can he not stop, but he must work harder to get the first place quickly. Moreover, he must ignore the threats, insults, and bullying from the princes and princesses, the 20 or so who are most likely to enter the top 10, and the 4th-level masters of the Yuanshen realm. The later they get, the crazier they may become, and the higher the degree of threat will be. Think about it, they really don't want you to get the top 5. If you get the top 5, they have already lost face, and they may not care about losing face again. After all, everyone has crazy times, right? Nanshan Wanjiao listened to their conversation and said to Wu Yu secretly. What he said is not unreasonable. I know that it is actually quite dangerous to pin my hopes on other people's rationality and scruples. Once they are really forced into a corner, I will also suffer losses. Therefore, before the end of this battle for dominance in the North Sea, I must have the strength to fight against them as a foundation. Your strength can only deal with the man called Duan Yi. There are more than 20 days left, what else can you do? Nanshan Wanjiao couldn't help laughing. Wu Yu did not respond to him. He didn't need to let Nanshan Wanjiao see the devouring ability of the devouring heaven body for the time being. Now, the devouring heaven body has moved to a distant place. Anyway, there will be more and more demons appearing next. There are more than 20 days left. Try your best to fight for the dead soul in Internet Cafe. Wu Yu said with a firm look. He introduced the existence of Nanshan Wanjiao to Princess Yuyan. Nanshan Wanjiao did not show up, but said, you are a hot girl, but a friend's wife should not be bullied, I will just admire her. Continue to look for demons next, Wu Yu asked Princess Yuyan to follow him, otherwise it would be troublesome if she fell into their hands. The threat to Dongsheng Shenzhou is in the future, but the threat to Princess Yuyan is immediate. Let's go. Nanshan Wanjiao seemed to have forgotten about it, and laughed again, leading the way in front. But Wu Yu and Princess Yuyan knew that they had embarked on a crazy road, even crazier than before, and they would die if they failed. The opponent had already forced Wu Yu to a dead end, so he went all the way to the end, and in the end, he would fight hard to see who would die and who would live. He had no background power, but he had the courage of a cultivator. In fact, the more than 800,000 people outside did not know what kind of agreement Wu Yu and the princes and princesses had made. What they saw was that Wu Yu defeated Duan Yi and took Princess Yuyan away, and the princes and princesses also seemed to leave happily, as if the matter had been resolved. At the beginning, they saw Wu Yu and Princess Yuyan talking on the spot, as if the matter had been resolved. It seems that although Wu Yu did not leave the Sea of Ghosts right away, it is estimated that it will be relatively quiet next time, allowing others to surpass him. Otherwise, others would not leave so happily. They all went to experience the last carnival with peace of mind. During that period, the demons were also anxious. The demons in the Sea of Dead Souls were still eager to leave this prison. The later they got, the more impatient they were. The more they wanted to get out, the crazier they were. The later they got, the fewer monks they could defeat. Nanshan Wanjiao was almost there. He collected enough light talismans to break the dark. Among them, Wu Yu helped a little. Originally thought that the matter had been resolved. But then, what no one expected was that Wu Yu entered a state of explosion. He frantically searched for demons, frantically killed them, and obtained the dead soul yin net. Now that most of the demons have appeared, his speed of hunting demons has greatly increased, and the gap with others has widened. Now the gap is even larger. In just half a day, he estimated that he had at least 70 or 80 more dead soul yin nets than the second place. That person would need at least 10 days to fill the gap, while Wu Yu was still widening the gap. At first, Prince Yuqian and his men were in high spirits, and obviously didn't know that Wu Yu was still hunting demons, but the people outside could see it clearly. The last time they intercepted Wu Yu, it didn't bring any changes at all, but Duan Yi was defeated. Now Wu Yu is like a madman, and anyone outside can see that his speed of killing demons is still faster than other princes and princesses. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 785. What is going on? How do these little guys do things? Prince Yashi was almost mad. Now, he could only arrange for someone to go in and tell the princes and princesses about Wu Yu's current situation. He estimated that there might be some misunderstandings in the middle. Xuanhuan? R-A-N-E-N. The people outside saw it clearly. If it goes on like this, after 20 days, Wu Yu will definitely be the first, and Beiming Emperor K will definitely belong to him, unless there are some changes later. But the gap is getting bigger and bigger. Even if Wu Yu is driven out in advance, it will be difficult for the people behind to surpass him. In fact, what they can't see is that after Wu Yu kills a demon, the body of the demon will remain in place. Soon after, a black mist will entangle the demon, and soon after, the body of the demon disappears. In fact, within half a day, Prince Yuqian and his men received the news and knew that Wu Yu did not act according to the agreement after leaving them. At this time, each of them was in a relaxed and cheerful mood, making the final killing sprint. This news suddenly came at this time, and each of them was as uncomfortable as if they had eaten shit. Then they were furious. Almost everyone couldn't stand it, not to mention Prince Yuqian, who came up with this method himself and forced Wu Yu to execute it. He was simply insulted the most by Wu Yu. So, when he knew that Wu Yu was still killing demons quickly, he was almost crazy. At that time, his angry roar spread throughout many seas, and the sea water of half of the Yinhuan Sea prison was trembling. When the nearby demons heard this sound, they fled in fear. Wu Yu, I want your whole family to die. This angry voice spread far away, and the silent Yinhuan Sea prison was boiling. I received their communication talisman, do you want to take a look? Princess Yuqian followed Wu Yu and killed demons all the way. No need, Wu Yu knew what they were saying without even looking at it. It was nothing more than some hysterical threats. The words must be very unpleasant. Wu Yu could also imagine what disgusting words they would say when they were angry. There was no possibility of regret for the path he chose, so he didn't even want to listen. In this sea of ghosts, he appeared and disappeared like a ghost. As long as Princess Yuxiang was not controlled by them, it would be impossible for these people to find Wu Yu. After all, they could not catch up with the speed of Wu Yu's somersault cloud. Therefore, even if the entire sea of ghosts was boiling because of their anger in the next period of time, Wu Yu still hit and quickly killed the demons. The dead soul net in his hand increased rapidly with the frequent appearance of demons. Even if there were more and more demons, the gap between him and the second place was still getting bigger and bigger, gradually expanding to more than 100, and expanding the gap to 200, expanding to the point where the second place could not catch up, and it would not take a few days. Princess Yuxi simply refused to accept their news and followed Wu Yu with her head down. In fact, she didn't know what better solution Wu Yu could have next. Although it was not difficult for him to get the first place now, the difficulty was that after the Beiming battle, even if he had the title of the first place, he was worried that other princes and princesses would be angry and attack Dongsheng Shenzhou without regard for their face. She knew from Wu Yu's state that this time, Wu Yu had entered the state of the last time he was in Wangxiantai. At that time, Wu Yu was undoubtedly frightening to Princess Yuxi. In the blink of an eye, there were only about 10 days left. During this period of time, it can be said that the participants of the entire Yinhuan Sea prison were looking for Wu Yu, and the people outside also transmitted Wu Yu's location to the inside, but Wu Yu's transfer speed was very fast. Even if they knew where Wu Yu was, after transmitting it in, Wu Yu had already disappeared in that place, and they could not catch up with him no matter how hard they tried. Those princes and princesses were so angry that their chests were about to explode. The pressure from outside was also very great. Their stupidity and anger at the moment were also displayed in the eyes of 800,000 people outside. They couldn't even find a Wu Yu, which was enough to show their incompetence. Now Wu Yu's existence was really a big blow to them. The key is that Wu Yu didn't pay any attention to them at all, so Wu Yu himself didn't know what their situation was these days. He didn't care about them at all, but only cared about the number of his dead soul nets. Anyway, the North Sea domination battle was about to end. In fact, there were still 4 days left, but Wu Yu's name had spread throughout the Yanhuang ancient domain, alarming many forces. Because it was obvious that he had already pulled away from the second place with nearly 200 dead soul nets. In just 10 days, even if Wu Yu withdrew from the Sea of Ghosts, the second place might not be able to get 200, and it could even be said that it was impossible. So if nothing unexpected happened, it was almost certain that he should be the first in the number of dead soul nets. This time, he was the well-deserved champion of the North Sea domination battle. Of course, this was thanks to Nanshan Wanjiao. These days, the two of them gradually became familiar with each other, and Wu Yu discovered that Nanshan Wanjiao was actually quite good. Although, he talked a little too much and was a little bit mean, sometimes even more vulgar than Ming Long, and he was also a pervert, but at least for now, he was still a friend worth making. In the future, he will have many opportunities to hang out with Wu Yu. He now has 29 nether-breaking light talismans. If he can collect 30, he will go out early, but now he doesn't want to go out early. He wants to go out one day before the end of the Northern Ming battle, so he keeps the last nether-breaking light talisman. Wu Yu has already found a target for him. Although there are only 10 days left, Wu Yu also knows that because of his existence, the participants in the Sea of Ghosts are basically distracted and frantically looking for his traces and want to threaten him. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. And he still made up his mind that he would never show up. In the remaining time, he would only increase the number of his dead soul nets. There are only 10 days left. The number of demons that appeared during this period is indeed more, so the number of dead soul nets they collected will also be more. Even if there are only 10 days left, I can't fall behind. This is a game. The 800,000 people outside could see clearly that Wu Yu's coldness, firmness, and persistence during this period of time were also his outstanding features, which made other people lose their temper. Compared with those angry princes and princesses, his calmness was indeed superior. In comparison, the princes and princesses were even more dejected. They simply couldn't concentrate on killing the demons, because they knew that they couldn't get the first place in just these few days. The people of the Biming tribe outside were sitting on pins and needles every day. For them, the ending was basically doomed, and such an ending was simply unlucky. However, watching them being played by Wu Yu, they could only curse a few words in their hearts. The battle for the dominance of Biming must be fair and square, so the people of the entire Yanhuang ancient domain were invited to watch the battle. The original purpose was to let them see the style of the new generation of Biming, but now it was completely messed up, and they were shown the stupidity of the new generation of Biming. But in fact, they were not stupid, it was just because Wu Yu was too difficult to deal with. The most depressing thing for Prince Yu Yang was that he had never thought that Wu Yu would not be afraid of such a threat. Now he could not see Wu Yu. Once he saw Wu Yu, he probably wanted to tear Wu Yu into pieces on the spot. Now no one could stop him. Then, in this rhythm, time passed day by day, and Wu Yu widened the gap a little bit every day. When there was almost 1 day left, the gap had actually reached 300. It was impossible for Prince Yu Yang, who was in second place, to get 300 dead soul nets within the last day. On the last day, even if demons might appear everywhere, Wu Yu could only be the champion. In fact, Wu Yu could just use the breaking dark light talisman suit and leave now. There was no need to hold on to the end. Many people saw that there was no hope to rush down, so they withdrew directly, such as Princess Yu Yang, who also went out directly. On the last day, Nanshan Wanjiao must also be completed as soon as possible. So when this day came, Nanshan Wanjiao, with the help of Wu Yu, found a suitable cultivator and forced him to use the breaking nether light talisman. As a result, he collected 30 breaking nether light talismans and was taken out of the Sea of Ghosts. In fact, Princess Yuyan and Nanshan Wanjiao didn't know what Wu Yu wanted to do on this last day. However, Wu Yu took a communication talisman from Princess Yuyan, which could pass the message to Prince Yuyan. Now the demons and the participants were in a state of chaos. The princes and princesses couldn't find Wu Yu, and now they could only make a final struggle. Now their faces were full of anger and despair. This time, the battle for the North Sea was like a nightmare to them, and Wu Yu was their nightmare. On this last day, Prince Yuyan was robbing and killing demons with Zhang Shangyu and making the final sprint. Now they all looked gloomy and full of bad luck. Neither of them spoke to each other. If they talked, they would probably quarrel because of depression. It's the last day. Let's see what happens after we get out. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. Prince Yukin looked around, and a ferocious smile appeared on his face. These 20 days were the most embarrassing time in his life, but he believed that after more than 20 days, those who violated the agreement would be punished accordingly. Are you going to start as soon as the North Sea battle is over? Or should we all come together and find a reliable person to start? It is said that in a place like the sealed demon continent, anyone in the Yuanshen realm can slaughter the people, Zhang Shangyu said disdainfully. I have already found a candidate. He has done a lot of things for me before, and he does things very cleanly, Prince Yukin said coldly. Zhang Shangyu also smiled coldly. These few days are really embarrassing, but this is also his choice, and you can't blame others. The North Sea Emperor K is good, but he can't enjoy it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 786. The two smiled at each other. In fact, on this last day, they figured it out. Renan, instead of letting themselves get angry, it is better to give all the hatred, anger, and struggle to Wu Yu. However, what they didn't expect was that on this last day, when many things had already been settled, they actually received a communication talisman from Wu Yu. At this time, the Baiming tribe outside had accepted this fact and were quite disappointed and dejected. Some had already left. At this juncture, Wu Yu was ahead of more than 300 Zhongshensi Xuanhuan, and not only did he not leave, he actually took the initiative to contact them. "What is this person up to?" Zhang Shangyu asked suspiciously. Now, it was Prince Yuqian who was looking at the communication talisman. When Prince Yuqian finished reading, his face became strange. He looked at Zhang Shangyu in disbelief and said, "He told me that he would wait for me at the place where he and Duan Yi fought last time, and he wanted to settle the feud with us completely. How is that possible? Is he playing with us? Does he want to embarrass us?" Zhang Shangyu was in disbelief. It was obvious that the best way for Wu Yu now was to leave as soon as possible. Prince Yuqian said, "It's already this time, are you still afraid that he will deceive us? Call the others, there is only 1 day left, let's all go." Wu Yu explained in the communication talisman that the more people he could let go, the happier he would be. What he meant was that he wished that more people would gather at his location now. That would be as he wished. Prince Yuqian, his eyes were gloomy. He was heading in the direction of Wu Yu now, and then he sent out all the communication talismans. Basically, those with the same status and strength as him would receive his communication talismans and know the news, and then this group of people would spread it out, and finally, a lot of people should be notified. For them, Wu Yu is a big deal now. In fact, by this day, the top 10 were already very clear, and the number of people in the group with a large number of dead souls was still quite different. After receiving the communication talisman from Prince Yuqian, and Wu Yu actually showing up in public to settle the grudges, basically people wanted to go and take a look, especially those who had no hope of entering the top 10. So, a large number of people gradually appeared in the last position. In fact, the 800,000 people outside also found that Wu Yu had stopped, and the current position was exactly the position where he defeated Duan Yi last time. What is he going to do? Why does it seem that other people are going in his direction? Did he take the initiative to contact others? It seems so. Why is he so bold all of a sudden? Wasn't he dodging and escaping before? He must be bold now. Let's see what he can do on this last day. It's the last day, and the battle for Baiming will soon end. People from all the major forces may compete with each other after the battle ends, especially between the Yanhuang ancient country and the Baiming Empire. It's obvious that Chu Yin and his men are ready to make a move, and their eyes are full of praise for Wu Yu. Now their area is filled with laughter from time to time, which shows that they are actually very proud. What's there to be proud of? Wu Yu is not a Yanhuang clan at all. Maybe when he comes out, he will voluntarily join our Baiming Empire and become a member of our Baiming clan. Although he has no bloodline, he is still a good person. Let's not do it. Today has been enough of a disgrace to our Baiming. Such people should die here, and they must not be taken to the Yanhuang ancient country to make it stronger. While people were discussing, Prince Yuqian and Zhang Shangyu came to Wu Yu first, followed by the others, including Prince Yu Yang, Prince Yu Ying, Princess Yu Yu, Princess Yu Yan, etc. As soon as they arrived, they immediately surrounded Wu Yu. Although they knew it was useless, it could at least give Wu Yu a kind of mental suppression. After getting the news, more and more people came, at least much more than the last time with more than 20 people. Not long after, there should be more than 100 people here, and the number is still increasing. In the meantime, this is the last day, they just come to watch the show and see what Wu Yu is up to. When Prince Yuqian saw Wu Yu, he was like a bomb about to explode. If Wu Yu hadn't clearly expressed his attitude of wanting to discuss with them, he would probably have to do it himself now. Just think about it, their methods are amazing, and last time he used the Tianlong soul calming magical ability to hurt Wu Yu, it probably won't work now. Don't be impulsive, he dared to show up just to ask for peace, and he is also worried about the demon sealing continent. Let's see how he wants to negotiate. Prince Yu Yang held the excited Prince Yuqian and said in a deep voice. Now, the young heroes of the Baiming clan have all surrounded him, looking at Wu Yu with gloomy faces. They have all heard about the situation here, and they also know that if Wu Yu gets the first place and gets the Baiming Emperor K of their Baiming Empire today, it will be intolerable. This is the magic weapon of Emperor Ming Hai. And there are so many treasures and supreme honors. Seeing that everyone has come, Wu Yu did not keep them in suspense. He looked around at everyone, and finally his eyes fell on Prince Yuqian. This person has the deepest intersection with him. It was also his idea to threaten Dongsheng Shenzhou. Therefore, when Wu Yu violated the agreement, he was the most angry. He is also the one with the heaviest murderous intent. Everyone Wu Yu, who was mainly a guest, first said loudly, "The number of dead soul nets I have obtained now is close to 1,000. I believe that no one here can surpass me. After today, I will be the leader of this Northern Ming War. Well-deserved first place. There is absolutely no objection to that." Not only were many combatants looking at him now, but basically everyone's eyes were on him among the 800,000 people outside, even though they had no idea what he was talking about. Wu Yu's words still caused some sensation. The nearly 1,000 dead soul nets was an unsurpassable figure for Prince Yu Yang. Now, the number of his dead soul nets has just exceeded 700. In short, as long as Wu Yu is willing, no one can stop him. Are you showing off? Wu Yu, do you really think what I said to you 20 days ago was all a joke? To be honest with you, I have even arranged the people who will do it, waiting for us to leave here. It won't take long for good news to reach your ears. Prince Yuki can still talk to Wu Yu calmly, he is already at the limit of his endurance. His threatening words were no surprise to Wu Yu at all. Wu Yu stared at him, the burning in his eyes was tit for tat with this man. He looked solemn and said, "I know this was not your original purpose. For you, you just don't want me to be in the top 10. If I don't show up today, I should be the first, and you may also realize what you said. However, this should not be the best ending. I am here today just to give everyone a fair and just ending." Prince Yu Yang said first, "You should tell me what kind of fair ending you want." Wu Yu, straight to the point, said directly, "Today in front of everyone, I will make it clear that as long as you meet my conditions, I can throw the dead soul net I got into this ghost sea prison." When they heard this, they were indeed moved, because their fundamental purpose was to fundamentally solve this problem, not to take revenge, which was just the resentment in their hearts. "Then tell me your conditions," Prince Yuki said coldly. "First of all, I need you to promise me, swear to God, swear to everyone, that you will never go to Dongsheng Shenzhou to cause trouble, whether you go by yourself or send someone to go, otherwise you will die. Your body will be destroyed, your spirit will be destroyed." The ascetics swear to God and basically do not dare to swear this poisonous oath. Because God controls natural disasters, there are 3 disasters and great disasters of heaven. According to legend, if he violates the oath, the disaster he will suffer when he reaches the realm of the 3 disasters will definitely be much more terrible than ordinary people. Therefore, it is still necessary to take this poisonous oath, a certain amount of courage. This has certain constraints on any ascetic. This was originally done because Wu Yu broke the agreement, so to them, it didn't matter. As long as Wu Yu threw that thing away, they would not bother to go to Dongsheng Shenzhou to cause trouble. Although the past 20 days have been very frustrating, they can take out their frustration on Wu Yu himself. Taking action against a monk's relatives and spreading the word are indeed damaging to one's reputation. Therefore, Prince Yuki did not believe that this was Wu Yu's condition. He believed that this was one of the conditions. So he replied, if you behave obediently, I have no interest in your relatives and friends at all. It doesn't matter if you swear this poisonous oath. But if that's all, wouldn't it be that your work for more than 20 days has been in vain, so what? Wu Yu quickly answered him, so, this is indeed one of the conditions, and the more important condition is that I want to challenge you. He said it very lightly, 5 words, very plain, but it also contained incredible courage and courage. With so many people present, no one thought that Wu Yu would dare to say these words, because they were not the same person at all. Level people. Prince Yuki is one of the strongest people in the Beiming Empire who are under 100 years old and under the realm of 3 disasters. So many people think they heard it wrong. Wu Yu continued, you heard me right, I want to challenge Prince Yuki to a gambling battle. If I lose, I will throw all the dead soul nets on my body into the Sea of Ghosts prison. If I win, I will take them out and take away all the rewards and glory that belong to the first place. Regardless of winning or losing, you must swear a poisonous oath. This is the whole purpose of my coming here today. I have already taken it. It depends on your sincerity whether you dare to accept it or not. After all, I am also trying to find a solution to the problem. He looked at the people who were looking at each other. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 787. Chapter 780 Beiming Zhongshan Shirjitu. Wu Yu's resolute attitude clearly shows that he has been planning for this day for more than 20 days. It is even possible that when the Prince of Yuyan threatened him with Dongsheng Shenzhou, he had already thought of today's plan. To others, this is audacious. Even Nanshan Wanjiao, who has been accompanying Wu Yu, probably doesn't know. However, this courage did shock everyone. Therefore, when Wu Yu calmly said what he thought, many people still didn't react for a short time. Now everyone is looking at Wu Yu, and then at the Prince of Yuyan. The two of them are looking at each other, which is also an invisible struggle. Obviously, from any aspect of the appearance, Wu Yu seems to be far from being comparable to the Prince of Yuyan. The only thing that can be compared is probably his courage. However, the role that courage can play in battle is actually very small, at least for them, it seems like this. Is he not clear-headed? Or is he really scared? Is there any hope for him to challenge Prince Yuyan? People were discussing. You don't understand this. He probably didn't want to defeat Prince Yuyan at all. He just wanted to use this method to win the forgiveness of Prince Yuyan and let them let him go, and at the same time give himself a slightly more decent ending. Otherwise, if he frightened Prince Yuyan and didn't dare to collect the dead soul net, it would be too undignified. So that's the case. In this way, Wu Yu is not a fool. He can still regain some dignity for himself. It looks okay, but in our Beiming territory, he has been arrogant to a great extent, should have been punished long ago, and only these princes and princesses can punish him. Challenging Prince Yuyan is undoubtedly a futile act. But all she wants is the oath of Prince Yuyan and his people. The outcome of the battle is not important to him. Even so, even if he loses today and loses miserably, his fame is enough to shock the entire world of Yanfu. To be honest, I really envy him. In the Battle of North Ming, he can be regarded as a famous battle. Those people talked to each other and looked at Wu Yu with pity, as if they saw through Wu Yu's heart. But I'm afraid only Prince Yuyan and his people, these more than 20 people, clearly felt that this was not Wu Yu's true idea. He does need dignity, and he needs Prince Yuyan and his people to let Dongsheng Shenzhou go. But he also needs to give himself a fair challenge and sprint for his first place in the Battle of North Ming. This is Wu Yu, the most correct and strongest fighting spirit. Even though such fighting spirit seemed ridiculous to Prince Yuyan, and even an insult to him. In fact, he could choose not to accept it, and let Wu Yu get first place, and then he would take revenge on Dongsheng Shenzhou after he went out. But if he did that, public opinion would be unfavorable to him. he would be considered a person who would take revenge for every little thing and ignore the overall situation. Letting Wu Yu get first place is the real overall situation of the entire Biming Empire. So, it seems that he must choose to accept it, and as long as he accepts it, he must let everyone swear a poisonous oath together. This is the premise, and then we will see who wins. If they can win smoothly, the chaos in the Biming hegemony war can be solved smoothly. The Biming clan can get their dignity. The key is that if Prince Yuyan loses, the Biming clan will only be worse. Everyone actually understands this. However, even if it is Prince Yuyan himself, he would never think that Wu Yu can still climb over his head at this time. If you don't agree to one of his conditions, it means you admit defeat and you don't dare to accept the challenge. This is the end of a grand event under the attention of 800,000 people in the entire world of Yanfu. After all, Prince Yuyan has no chance of refusing. This is actually what Wu Yu considered. He is 10,000 sure. That's why he will appear here today. Prince Yu Yang and the others discussed it secretly, and everyone may have a lot of opinions. But in summary, they are willing to put aside their previous rage against Wu Yu, and then choose to put this anger into the battle. Prince Yuyan can completely suppress Wu Yu with his own means and get the result he wants. So in public, the others retreated one after another, and the Prince Yuyan stared at Wu Yu, waved his hand and said, "Since you are so sincere, then I will do as you wish. Anyway, there is only one day left in the battle for the North Sea, and I will use this day on you." She agreed. Everyone heard it clearly, so they had to get out of the way and leave a wide battlefield. All this was as Wu Yu expected. All his behavior at this moment was forced by this group of people. From the beginning to the end, what he could not bear the most was others threatening her relatives and friends. So he had to ask for change, he had to be crazy, he had to be hysterical. And today was the outbreak of his suppression for more than 20 days. I not only want to get the first place in the North Sea domination battle, I also want to defeat him openly and leave here with the most dignified attitude. In the end, I will make everyone respect me. If there is respect, who would touch their reverse scales so unscrupulously? Make yourself so irritable and ferocious? This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. Indeed, no one can make such a huge leap in strength in more than 20 days. It has never existed since ancient times, so Prince Yuyan is not worried at all. Even if they are confronting each other at this moment, he completely suppresses Wu Yu. The two people look like the huge gap between an adult and a child. Wu Yu looks weak and pitiful. Maybe this guy defeated Duan Yi, so he thought that the gap between him and Prince Yuyan was very close, but he didn't know that although Duan Yi and Prince Yuyan are only one level apart, this kind of gap is the gap between heaven and earth. Prince Yuyan is a prince, and Duan Yi is just the son of a small mansion lord. Can everything they have be the same? Just the upper spiritual instruments, and the top upper spiritual instruments, Prince Yuyan has too. Some people couldn't help but sneer. Looking at their current confrontation, they must be fighting soon, and there is actually no suspense in this fight. Wu Yu wanted to deal with Prince Yuyan to achieve his purpose of killing the chicken to scare the monkey. Before today, he must have learned about Prince Yuyan's specific strength from Princess Yuyan. Prince Yuyan is one of the strongest cultivators below the three disasters asking realm, and one of the powerful contenders for the future throne of Biming. He has a lot of capital. For example, the two upper spiritual instruments were obtained by him in the previous Biming hegemony battle. In the previous Biming hegemony battle, he got the 6th place in the first time, and the 3rd place in the second time. The first time, the upper spiritual instrument he got was called the Black Sand Flowing Light Giant God Sword. This is a killing giant sword from ancient times, composed of black sand particles, flowing starlight, and is a killing machine. The power is extraordinary, and it must be better than Duan Yi's heavenly Dao Shenmo Xian gun. His second upper spiritual instrument is even more terrifying, called the Northern Ming Zhongshan Shiji Tu. This is a long-standing spiritual weapon of the Baiming royal family. It is very famous, and every owner is a hero of the Baiming royal family. The Baiming rivers and mountains and the state map includes the entire Baiming country. It can mobilize the power of the mountain terrain of the Baiming Empire and crush powerful enemies. It is the most feared capital of Prince Yuyan. For a long time, there has been no opponent who can allow Prince Yuyan to use the black sand flowing light giant sword and the Baiming rivers and mountains and the state map at the same time. With these two Taoist weapons, he can almost be compared with his brother, Prince Yuyang. Moreover, Prince Yuyan also has a variety of Taoist magic skills that are known as the top of Baiming, such as the Tianlong Zhenhun that almost took Wu Yu's life last time. And Tianlong Zhenhun is one of his most basic magical powers. Speaking of which, Wu Yu and Prince Yuyan have a lot of entanglements. You know, it was thanks to Prince Yuyan that Wu Yu was able to enter the realm of the Yuan Shen. Otherwise, he would not be qualified to confront Prince Yuyan at all. It was normal to have casualties in the battle against Wu Yin. Now, everyone's eyes were on the two of them. It was obvious that Prince Yuyan would not waste too much time on Wu Yu. So when both of them decided to fight to the death, Prince Yuyan directly sacrificed his upper spiritual weapon in a very short time. The first one was naturally the black sand flowing giant sword. Maybe Wu Yu was not qualified to let him use the Baiming Zhongshan Shiji. Even so, just with the black sand flowing giant sword, Prince Yuyan seemed to be far superior to Wu Yu. He had an innate emperor's domineering aura, like a fairy god standing on the top of all living things, looking down on the common people. Wu Yu seemed insignificant in front of him. Moreover, Wu Yu did not use the heaven and earth magic at this time, nor did he transform into a golden fairy ape. He was just his original body, in human form. At this time, Prince Yuyan was surrounded by the majestic purple palace energy. The dark green purple palace energy surrounded him, entwined into purple dragons, roaring angrily at Wu Yu, baring their fangs and claws. I think if it weren't for Prince Yuyan's control, they would have swallowed Wu Yu long ago. Suddenly, Prince Yuyan slashed the huge black sword in his hand forward, and for a moment, the entire nearby sea area made a deafening roar. Countless black lights rushed towards Wu Yu. Today, one chapter will be updated, and I will return on another day. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 788. This battle has really begun. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Prince Yuyan's aura is like a rainbow, and his divine power is much more powerful than Duan Yi on any level. As soon as he took action, Wu Yu was engulfed by the majestic Zifu Yuan power. If people outside could not see him through Wu Yu's Yuan shadow instrument, they would have thought that he had been completely suppressed by Prince Yuyan. Wait a minute, just when everyone was nervous, Wu Yu just used the divine movement technique and quickly escaped from his opponent's control. He appeared among the crowd of participants, his eyes were deep and solemn, he looked at Prince Yuyan and said, "Why are you so anxious? Have you sworn the poisonous oath?" For Wu Yu, this is very important. This is the whole reason why he is standing here today. Otherwise, he would not have to challenge his opponent at all. Moreover, he also used his own strength to prove that even if there are so many people surrounding him, he can easily leave once he is not satisfied, and he can also use the dark light breaking talisman, and others can't do anything to him. Boring Prince Yuyan responded coldly, but he did stop first. A little carelessly, she said, "I, Yuyan, swear to God that after I go out, I will never disturb the peace of Dongsheng China, nor will I harm Wu Yu's relatives and friends, otherwise I will die." Everyone has heard that he made such an oath, at least it was a restriction for him, so Wu Yu still needed him to make such a poisonous oath. Moreover, not only Prince Yuyan, but also more than 20 people who participated in the last siege of Wu Yu needs their personal guarantee, otherwise there is no need for him to participate in today's battle. The others were scattered, and finally finished swearing this poisonous oath. In fact, they were not interested in this poisonous oath at all. You can take action now. Prince Yuyan waved the black sand flowing giant sword in his hand slightly and said in a cold tone. Okay, no matter how effective such a poisonous oath can be, Wu Yu finally made an effort. And what follows is his madness. Next, he planned the real drama for more than 20 days. After hearing Wu Yu's affirmative answer, Prince Yuyan, in fact, couldn't hold it any longer. Thinking of the depression and grievance of the past 20 days, all the anger has now been transferred to Zifu Yuanli and Shangling Taoist tools. The black sand flowing giant sword burst out with terrifying power in his hands. He acted decisively, and people saw that the giant sword suddenly exploded and turned into eerie black gravel, condensing into a black dragon, spinning around Prince Yuyan, which was somewhat similar to Wu Yu's infinite eternal sand reincarnation formation. At the end of the day, the participants who had given up, as well as the 800,000 people, were all paying attention to the divine power displayed by Prince Yuyan. Go to hell! Prince Yuyan poured all his anger into the attack. In an instant, he tore apart the hell of the Sea of Shadows, smashed all the sea water into powder, and opened his mouth to bite Wu Yu. And go. By this moment, Wu Yu has transformed his power to the maximum, and raised his physical strength to the highest level. In his hands, the countless dragon sticks in the world have become extremely huge, like a golden Optimus Prime. At this time, it is still you can see that his arms suddenly became thicker. In fact, he had already added violent skills to his attacks, and then he triggered the infinite eternal sand reincarnation formation in the 10,000 dragon stick. When he waved his violent rat, the infinite 10,000 dragon stick in the world directly transformed into a giant dragon, and Wu Yu was holding the golden dragon's tail and wielding it with violent techniques. This was basically the top level of power he could show. In the nervous and expectant eyes of the people, the golden divine dragon and the black divine dragon clashed. This was also a confrontation between two spiritual tools. Boom! Under the control of the two masters, the spiritual weapons bit each other and fought fiercely. It seemed like two real dragons. Even real dragons could not reach this level. This was a close quarters fight. Bang bang. Wu Yu quickly discovered how much force he would have to endure in a head-on confrontation with the opponent. The opponent's spiritual weapon, supported by the powerful Zifu Yuanli, has more terrifying strength than Wu Yu. This strength surpasses him. The increase in physical strength, even violent spells, plus the magic of heaven and earth, the change was also directly destroyed by the opponent, causing the immeasurable sand and the reincarnation formation to explode directly, and the opponent, the black sand flowing giant sword, suddenly condensed and turned into a giant sword, almost tearing Wu Yu into powder. Fortunately, Wu Yu used the somersault cloud to quickly stagger the opponent's attack at the last moment. But judging from this confrontation, he knew very well that in a head-on battle, the possibility of Prince Yuyan killing him was at least 90%. Above, the possibility of defeating the opponent is basically zero. This is the huge gap between his body and Prince Yuki at this time. Judging from this first confrontation, not only the surrounding exhibitors but also the 800,000 people outside, as well as the strong men from all over the Yanhuang ancient territory, are very clear. It can be seen that Wu Yu is definitely no match for Prince Yuyan. As expected, this guy's main purpose is to make Prince Yuyan and the others swear a poisonous oath. The meaning of his challenge is nothing more than to give himself a dignified defeat. His courage is quite interesting. This is a bit too ridiculous. Doing so many meaningless things, thinking that he has dignity, I think this is even more self-humiliating. In my Biming Empire, it is ridiculous to get the rewards and reputation of the Biming battle in this way. Seeing being suppressed, people felt relieved and couldn't help laughing. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. At this time, the rescuers in the Biming battle had already spread the content of the conversation between Wu Yu and Prince Yuyan to the outside world, and people knew what happened inside. Dongsheng Shenzhou, in the Yanhuang ancient domain, any immortal empire has the details of other immortal empires. Therefore, when Prince Yushi and others knew what happened inside, in fact, the Yanhuang ancient country also knew about it. Wu Yu doesn't need to worry at all. As long as he is willing to go back to the ancient country of Yanhuang with us, we will definitely protect anyone in Dongsheng Shenzhou. After all, Dongsheng Shenzhou is also the territory of our ancient country of Yanhuang. Chuyan had just been to Dongsheng Shenzhou and knew it very well, so he was very sure about this matter. Wu Yu didn't know that we existed here, nor did he know our intentions, so he chose to fight to the death with the Prince of Yuyan, but he didn't have much chance after all. It seems that he should give up the first place. However, whether it is the first place or not, we have picked up a treasure. After he comes out, we will tell him that we have a better way than asking the opponent to swear. Chuyan thought about it and smiled. Other people in the ancient country of Yanhuang also laughed. They didn't feel any pressure at all. In this matter, the Biming Empire didn't dare to have any conflicts with them. After all, Dongsheng Shenzhou is indeed a piece of land occupied by the ancient country of Yanhuang in the ancient domain of Yanhuang. It is just a barren land that no one pays attention to. But if the ancient country of Yanhuang is unwilling to let others go up, others are indeed not qualified. Wu Yu's decision made these 800,000 people a little confused. Basically, people thought he was going to give up the first place. Although such news would have a bad impact on Biming's reputation, after all, Wu Yu might lose the first place in the end. As long as Wu Yu didn't get the first place, he wouldn't create this history. Someone would always forget what happened today. But if he really got the first place, it would be included in the records. Maybe thousands of years later, the children of the Biming Empire would find it difficult to forget such a shame. So in comparison, the latter would be a heavier blow to the Biming clan. Therefore, although the elders of the royal family were not very satisfied with the threat of Prince Yuyan, even they themselves couldn't think of it. In addition, what other ways could they deal with Wu Yu? Among the younger generation, Yuyan is really brave. He will definitely be of great use when he enters the Three Disasters asking realm in the future. Maybe he will have a better future than Yu Yang, some people in the Biming royal family whispered, and similar words came out one after another, especially when they saw that Prince Yuyan almost crushed Wu Yu and beat him back step by step. Wu Yu could only be considered to be lingering in front of Prince Yuyan. Now he can only use the somersault cloud to avoid the opponent's pursuit. Wu Yu, if this continues, our battle today will be meaningless. If you are a man, fight me openly and honestly, don't run around like a rat crossing the street. Prince Yuyan had a chance to almost kill Wu Yu, but Wu Yu used amazing speed to dodge it. Prince Yuyan was even more angry. Instead of releasing the resentment in his heart, it accumulated deeper and deeper. He found that the existence of Wu Yu could make people possessed. In fact, it was not that Wu Yu dodged, but that this was not the content of the battle he imagined. He never thought that his original body could be the opponent at this time. Of course, then it will be as you wish. Wu Yu, who was sitting cross-legged on the somersault cloud to dodge the opponent, suddenly stopped and faced the Prince of Yuyan. At this time, the Prince of Yuyan had even sacrificed the Biming Zhongshan Shirjitu, which was his strongest means. When Wu Yu stopped, the Prince of Yuyan thought he was ready to admit defeat. He also knew in his heart that Wu Yu actually only wanted dignity. However, what he never expected was that suddenly, a white-haired and blood-red-eyed Wu Yu appeared in front of him, and Wu Yu's original body retreated to the back, as if watching a show. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 789. /U003C/strong/U003 EOU's heaven-devouring body mysteriously appeared in everyone's sight again. In fact, the heaven-devouring body is also Wu Yu's body. He controls the heaven-devouring body, which is not much different from controlling the original body. Now it's like letting the right hand rest for a while and fighting with the opponent with the left hand. His heaven-devouring body is wearing a very simple white robe with white and silver hair flying all over the sky. Although it is the same appearance, it looks particularly weird, and the pair of blood-red eyes, blood flowing, most of it is blood red, only a small part is white, which looks very creepy. Such a heaven-devouring body shows a very strong visual impact to others, especially when people recall that Wu Yu defeated Duan Yi with such an avatar. The ability of his avatar, the ability to devour and transform, and use the opponent's magical powers to attack the opponent, amazed many people at the time, and even now they are endless aftertaste. I originally thought that Wu Yu was going to admit defeat and force a fight for dignity, but I didn't expect that the heaven-devouring body suddenly reappeared, and Wu Yu's meaning was very clear. He even retreated to the side of his original body, which meant that he would use his clone to fight his opponent. In this world, it is very rare that a clone is stronger than the original body. It is difficult to improve the clone. Some clones have no chance to improve their abilities. When they were created, their abilities were fixed. What do you mean? After seeing Wu Yu and this clone, Prince Yukin himself didn't quite understand. He thought the battle was over. Determine the winner. Wu Yu simply said a few words. These 4 words were said by the heaven-devouring body. It was the first time he spoke with the heaven-devouring body. The same voice, spoken by the heaven-devouring body, seemed to have a different taste, a little hoarse, gloomy, and eerie. At the same time, there was also an inexplicable pressure. Let Prince Yukin completely believe that Wu Yu was not joking, he was going to use his clone to fight him. Your clone is not bad, but it's a pity that you met me. Whether it was the clone or the original body, he was too lazy to continue wasting time on Wu Yu. So at this moment, whether it was the Zhongshan Shijitu or the black sand flowing light giant god sword, they were all in his hands. The 2 upper spiritual tools burst out with power almost at the same time. Hundreds of thousands of magic arrays, almost running at the same time, would consume a lot of purple mansion yuanli, but Prince Yukin could afford such consumption. His purple mansion yuanli was endless. However, the first magical power he used on Wu Yu was the one that he had used to lead Wu Yu into the Yuanshen realm, Tianlong Zhenhuan. I saw a loud roar coming out of his mouth, the dragon's roar vibrated, and the sound gathered into a sentence, penetrating everywhere, rushing towards Wu Yu's swallowing body, and in a blink of an eye, it transformed into the previous Tianlong Zhenhuan and rushed into Wu Yu's body. Originally, he wanted to use this to destroy the soul or the spirit in Wu Yu's clone, because he guessed that Wu Yu's clone might be controlled by the soul. After all, the spirit of the original body is complete, so the soul in the clone should be very fragile. According to his idea, his Tianlong Zhenhuan can actually easily kill Wu Yu's clone and then defeat Wu Yu's original body. But he didn't expect that when the Tianlong Zhenhuan magical power swept over, Wu Yu's swallowing body suddenly turned into pieces, all black smoke, spreading. In this way, Tianlong Zhenhuan had no target to attack and could only dissipate in the sea water of the Yinhuan Sea prison. A magical power actually had no effect. This was not only surprising to Prince Yukin himself, but everyone else who saw the scene must have been quite surprised. They were more interested in Wu Yu's clone. In fact, they didn't notice that Wu Yu's original body was struggling. Wu Yu experienced the situation that Ming Long said, that is, the spirit of the clone surpassed his original body. At this time, he had some difficulties controlling the heaven-devouring body. The heaven-devouring body had a very strong devouring ability, which was very difficult to stop. When he did not surpass Wu Yu's original soul, Wu Yu could still control it very clearly, but now, it was a little vague. Sometimes he often had an impulse to devour all the flesh and blood creatures in front of him. The heaven-devouring body was always in a state of hunger, and everything he could see was delicious. Even now, facing the Prince of Yuqian, while fighting with him, Wu Yu had to restrain his devouring at all times, a kind of thing that made him restless and hot at the moment, but he knew very well that once he exceeded today's limit, it would be equivalent to completely losing himself. His own soul created a new heaven-devouring demon ancestor, bringing new disasters to the world. At that time, he might lose control of the heaven-devouring body. So Wu Yu knew very well that from now on, unless his original strength was improved, the heaven-devouring body could no longer devour. The heaven-devouring body had been growing up for more than 20 days, just for today, to be able to defeat the Prince of Yuqian. Wu Yu's reverse scale was touched, and he needed to grow stronger quickly. Especially after going out of the North Sea domination battle, he knew that he might face many challenges after going out. After all, he had shown many means here and attracted the attention of many people. Maybe his life and death would be greatly affected. The main body is so powerful that he can't be anxious at all, so he can only rely on the body of swallowing the sky. The current sky-swallowing body is still within his control. He also thinks clearly that the sky-swallowing body could have surpassed the limit of his body just a little bit. Of course, this is an important matter and must be in this way, he would have such a choice. After all, this is an adventure. After today's battle is over, he will never let the sky-swallowing body continue to devour it. His first priority is to continue to grow his body and soul, and quickly and perfectly control the sky-swallowing body, without letting any risks exist. The adventure he wanted must be rewarded, so he never thought of admitting defeat today. He didn't know how far the sky-swallowing body could go, but at this moment, he was more eager than every time to defeat you. Prince Ji, a very top opponent, such a desire, combined with the desire to swallow the sky-swallowing body, made his spirit of the sky-swallowing body become very abnormal at this moment, and his blood-red eyes stared at him. Looking at his opponent made Prince Yuki feel very uncomfortable. If he felt uncomfortable, he would explode. So, he took the initiative. However, Wu Yu could only wait for him to take the initiative, because no matter how powerful this sky-swallowing warrior was, he only had one way to fight. Prison of the Baiming Empire, under everyone's expectation, the one Prince Yuki used first was actually the map of the Baiming River, mountain, and state. He triggered the attack formation of Baiming Zhongshan Shichitu, directly using the spiritual weapon, the most famous prison of Baiming Empire. This spiritual weapon was completely created based on the territory of the entire Baiming Empire. Now Prince Yuki unfolded a huge picture scroll. He unfolded the picture scroll. For a moment, the picture scroll was spread out and laid on the ground. The space between heaven and earth then grew infinitely larger. In just a short moment, Wu Yu, his body, and clones were all surrounded by this scroll. You could see that in this scroll, everything, including mountains and flowing water, plains, and grasslands, were all surrounded. It is so lifelike that you can even see the mountains being blown by the breeze, the water flowing gently, and even the cattle and sheep grazing on the grass, you can clearly see it, and everything is almost real. When the map of Baiming's country became more and more real, Wu Yu was trapped in the prison of Baiming Empire. This was a prison created by the Shangling Dao tool. Here, Prince Yuki is the absolute ruler, he is like the Ming High Emperor in the northern Ming Empire. Wu Yu felt that he had completely escaped from the Hell Sea prison and returned to the Baiming Empire. What he saw around him now was the country of the Baiming Empire. Apart from him and Prince Yuki, there was no one else in the entire Baiming Empire. And Prince Yuki is the ruler of this entire world. Therefore, he will naturally have a very sad feeling, probably a feeling of being suppressed. Wu Yu's body produced these things, and his clones were not affected much by this. Wu Yu was not in a hurry, and continued to retreat while his clones stood in front of Prince Yuki, confronting him tit for tat. The prison of the Beiming Empire is a magical magic circle. For Wu Yu, he has entered another world, but for people outside, what they see is Wu Yu being imprisoned by the spiritual weapon. The Zhongshan Shiji map was transparent, and they could see Wu Yu running around like a headless fly in it, while Prince Yuki seemed to be omnipotent in it. Of course, Prince Yuki used such an attack array just to suppress Wu Yu. The method that truly defeated Wu Yu was what he used next. Black Sand Hell Sky Ming formation, with the Beiming Empire imprisoned, the other hand grasped the black sand flowing giant sword, and the spiritual weapon suddenly turned into countless black sand. Surrounding him the arms rotated wildly, and then grew rapidly. To Wu Yu, what he saw was that the black veil grew so large that it closed the sky of the entire Beiming Empire in an instant, and then turned into tens of thousands of black dragons. Each black veil the dragons were similar to those used against Wu Yu before. The opponent is still quite terrifying when he fully displays his power. From the beginning to now, he has shown power that Wu Yu finds incredible. Now the tens of thousands of black divine dragons are charging down, all heading towards his clone. He himself doubted that his sky-swallowing body could deal with such an attacking array from an opponent who was at the pinnacle. Wu Yu is in danger. The 800,000 people outside could see clearly that there were many people who were cultivating the realm of the three disasters. A strong person could tell at just one glance that this kind of attack would pose a threat to them. Only Wu Yu believed that his sky-swallowing body had unlimited possibilities. Sorry, the voice input I used recently couldn't type Yu and I accidentally changed Yu and it's actually Yu. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 790. Now the heaven-devouring body has reached its limit. Everything depends on this fight today. No matter whether he can withstand it or not, Wu Yu has no possibility of retreating from the opponent's attack. Even in the prison of the Northern Ming Empire, the magic array of the giant sword of black sand and flowing light was infinitely magnified. Now, above the sky, a group of dragons roared, covering the sky and earth, and rushed towards Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body with a roaring sound, scrambling to tear the sky and earth, and rushed towards Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body. Where the thousands of dragons passed, there was no flesh and blood. On the heaven-devouring body, the blood-colored eyes became even more blood-red. In the battle, its degree has exceeded that of the original body. The heaven-devouring body gradually fell into a difficult-to-control situation. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Of course, the more difficult it is to control, the stronger the ability of the heaven-devouring body to surpass its limit will be. The violent desire to devour became stronger and stronger, and the sky-swallowing body erupted from the inside out, flooding the whole body. This clone was like a demon. Now, at least half of Wu Yu's thoughts were thinking about devouring. In the Beiming Empire prison, the dragon made of black sand overturned and fell, and Wu Yu was about to be swallowed. At this spectacular moment, people stared with their eyes wide open, wanting to see clearly. Most of them watched through Wu Yu's yuanying instrument, so that they could clearly feel the battle between Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body and Prince Yuqian. Under the gaze of countless people, Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body suddenly dispersed and turned into countless black smoke, spreading. The volume and concentration of these black smokes were much higher than before. After dispersing, they grew infinitely and instantly occupied at least a quarter of the Beiming Empire prison. In a blink of an eye, all those whistling black veil dragons rushed into the range of the black fog. The black fog was like a huge monster. It easily let the black sand dragons rush into its body, and then swallowed up all the confused dragons as much as possible. Next, for Wu Yu, it was the most critical time, that is, whether he could suppress the black sand hell void array. Now, the black sand dragons were madly colliding and biting in his body, and Wu Yu's swallowing body, the black fog, the particles were even smaller, and they drilled into the black sand more frantically. At this time, the top ability of the swallowing body was revealed, which was his only characteristic at present. But this characteristic was indeed strong enough. At the beginning, he was not very sure. Even the current swallowing seemed to be not up to his limit. He was a Buddha who could still hold up the black sand hell void array. In fact, as long as it is not torn apart in the first time, the devouring heaven body can control and transform it, inject its own things into the black sand hell void array, and completely transform the attack array of the upper spirit Deo weapon into its own, fundamentally changing him. To complete all this, it is not much different from the last time when the devouring heaven body reversed Duan Yi's attack. Prince Yuqian is indeed very powerful, but in the past 20 days, Wu Yu has indeed devoured a lot of demon corpses with this devouring heaven body. When he controlled the opponent's attack at this moment, Wu Yu's heart was completely relaxed and he devoted himself to the battle. This was the whole reason why he dared to challenge Prince Yuqian. At this time, he was much crazier than Prince Yuqian, and his original body actually only needed to watch the battle. Boom 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 boom. Within the range of the black smoke, there were violent tremors, vibrations, and roars. Did this trick solve it? Wu Yu's clone, in fact, Prince Yuqian himself did not know. At first, he thought he knew Wu Yu's plan, but it seemed not to be. He found that he had lost control of the magic circle, and this was only a moment. The next moment, it was Wu Yu's explosion. The black smoke suddenly shrank in the sight of everyone. At first, the range might be very large, but suddenly it shrank to a diameter of only about 10 feet. Then it exploded suddenly. In this explosion, most people originally thought that Wu Yu's swallowing body might be completely destroyed. However, the next moment, it can be clearly seen that after the explosion, a black dragon suddenly rushed out. This dragon was compressed to the extreme, and the space it sat in was twisted in the direction of its body, and the speed was terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it bit towards Prince Yuqian. The sharp dragon teeth and claws attacked Prince Yuqian in the blink of an eye. In fact, the black dragon that didn't look big before was the condensation of the entire black sand hell void array. After being transformed by Wu Yu's body of swallowing the sky, it is conceivable how much killing power it has. So when such a change occurred, in fact, not only the surroundings, but also the 800,000 spectators outside exclaimed, obviously frightened by this kind of change. It is very likely that they were still wondering whether Wu Yu's clone was finished this time. The result disappointed them. Now it was not Wu Yu who was facing a fatal crisis, but Prince Yuqian himself. This was his own fatal means. Now it was counter-attacking himself, which made him a little panicked. Obviously, like others, he had never expected such a situation to happen. His eyes were wide open and his face was unbelievable. As a user of the Black Sand Hell Void Array, he knew better than anyone how terrible this black dragon was in front of him. In this hasty moment, he had to use other means to save his life. Damn it, in this brief moment, his heart still had a huge fluctuation. His iron-green face told everyone that his anger had risen to a new level. In the new level, there was not only anger, but also a trace of fear of defeat. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. In fact, he, like Duan Yi, never thought that he would be defeated, so when there was a little sign, the pressure would suddenly become quite huge. However, Duan Yi was different from Prince Yuqian. When Prince Yuqian was under such pressure, he would be more violent and fall into the battle, such as at this moment. Ghost Dao Wanming Shenbian. Another peak magical power burst out. He was actually prepared. After all, he saw Duan Yi defeated last time. He didn't want to capsize in Wu Yu's gutter. Ghost Dao Wanming Shenbian is the top magical power that has been passed down by the Baiming royal family for a long time. Only the most talented royal children can practice it successfully. Prince Yuqian is the best among all the princes who practice this magical power. At this moment, he instantly tore open the passage to the netherworld hell. As his hands tore, a door appeared in front of him. The door seemed to come from the black netherworld hell. The smoke in the door rushed to him. The smoke merged into his body, causing him to undergo a huge change. First of all, his body swelled. Everything on his body, skin, flesh, tendons, bones, etc., were changing. In the blink of an eye, the Prince Yukin in front of him turned into a giant beast with black scales, sharp claws, and thick arms, like a beast born for battle. There was even a pair of thick flesh wings behind him. The most dazzling thing on the flesh wings was the sharp skeleton. The flesh wings were like two swords that tore the world apart, a bit like bat wings. When waving, they made a buzzing vibration, making the prison of the Beiming Empire tremble. When Wu Yu turned around to attack his opponent, Prince Yukin quickly used the ghost way, Wanming Shenbian, and transformed into the giant beast from hell. The next moment, his huge wings blocked his eyes. His whole body changed, and he had an extremely stable defense, allowing the dragon to attack him. Prince Yukin used one of his flesh wings to resist Wu Yu's counterattack, and the other flesh wing took the initiative to attack, like a sharp blade, to cut the dragon in half. The two giant beasts fought between heaven and earth, shaking the prison of the Beiming Empire to the ground, and the mountains and rivers were broken. If this was the real Beiming Empire, it would have been almost destroyed by half now. Prince Yukin experienced the initial panic, and now he has stabilized. In the prison of the Beiming Empire, he draws strength, continuously, and gradually suppresses the attack array that once belonged to him. Finally, in front of Wu Yu, the attack array was defeated, and the black dragon was completely blown to pieces. However, even so, he was out of breath and felt exhausted. If he hadn't used the Ghost Dao Wanming Divine Transformation, he would have really fallen here. This confrontation showed that Prince Yukin still had such changes in Wu Yu's devouring heaven body, which was really shocking. They didn't know that Wu Yu's devouring heaven body had become stronger in the past few days, so they thought his clone itself was so terrifying. So people all felt that Wu Yu dared to do this and was indeed hiding very deeply. I didn't expect that his true strength could actually compete with Prince Yukin. In other words, he is actually one of the strongest among the thousands of participants. This man is so cunning. He actually hid until the last day. Fortunately, Prince Yukin didn't fall for his tricks and successfully resolved his attack. Otherwise, it would be troublesome now. This Wu Yu really exceeded our expectations. Before this moment, I thought that many of his methods were very magical. Now it seems that his clone with white hair and blood eyes is the real horror, and it is even more powerful than his original body. Everyone was basically shocked by Wu Yu. It is estimated that only Prince Yukin, who was beaten to a pulp by Wu Yu, was crazy to the extreme at this time, and his whole body was engulfed by anger. But Prince Yukin did not disappoint the elders outside. He withstood the pressure and suppressed Wu Yu again. Chapter 1.